All right, well, we love having big guests on the show, and when they can't be in the studio, it's usually for very good reasons, like they are out of the country. We have spoken to a Canadian who was in Canada. We've heard of the film American in Paris, but now we're talking to an American in Serbia, and we are speaking to none other than the one, the only, Charles Cather. Mate, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you so much, Stefan. It's an absolute honor to be on an Australian radio station, a Serbian Australian radio station. That's even cooler, you know?
Mate, it's brilliant. I was like trying to explain. I was thinking, how do I get this into the actual intro that I can explain that I'm interviewing an American gentleman from Serbia, but not literally that he's born in Serbia, but the interview, it's very complicated that I'm trying to explain why.
It's complicated.
I'm like, no, he's not in America, he's in Serbia, but it's like he's not Serbian, he's It's very, very convoluted, but I'm sure people will understand once they hear a little bit about your story. Mate, for starters, now you're in Serbia now, but most people would probably know you from your videos on YouTube. Tell us a little bit about your story and how you as an American ended up falling in love and ending up in Serbia.
You know, it was kind of a crazy story, and it sounds like a book of fiction, but one day I was in my office, and I was manager for a Ford Lincoln Mercury Chrysler Dodge Jeep car dealership in South Chicago. One day, one of my sales guys comes to my office after the meeting, and he just said, "Hey, have you heard about a Facebook page called I Hate the USA?" Never heard of it, so we were slow a little bit that morning. I pulled up Facebook. I pulled up I Hate the USA, and on there was some strange last names, some strange names like Dragan and Alexander with the itch at the end of it, and saying some kind of negative things about my country. And me being an American patriot, I had to comment. So we started arguing a little bit after about 2 weeks of insulting each other. Finally, they said, "Hey, add me on Skype. I want to talk to you." We start talking about, I add him on Skype. We start talking about American interventionism into Serbia in 1999, all these terrible things. Finally, they invited me to come to Serbia in 2010, May of 2010. And I said, yes, I can come here.
You're so mature. That's like, because anyone else would have gone, it's a trap.
Exactly. My ex-girlfriend, I told her, I said I was going to Serbia, and she said, what? She said, why are you going to Russia, you know? And so I came here 2 weeks to meet these people all by myself, expecting a nasty, terrible place with medieval people. And, man, I was here for 2 weeks, went up to Zrenjanin, to Subotica, down to Kragujevac, Niš, and Pirot. Everywhere I went in 2 weeks, the people were the nicest, most hospitable people I'd ever seen in my entire life. It just was something I didn't expect, something that blew me away. And so I went back home after 2 weeks. I quit my job, moved to Mexico, because in Mexico I can stay for 6 months without a visa. And so I started studying on how to move to Serbia. I started looking on YouTube, trying to find out some information from regular people in English about Serbia, how to stay there. I couldn't find anything. And so everything I found was negativity about the war. It seems like the whole world and YouTube and everything in English judges your people for like the 1990s. And your whole history is ancient and beautiful, but that's it. And so it made me angry. I started making videos. And now, fast forward to not make a long story, now I'm here for February 27th will be my third consecutive year without leaving. Oh, sorry, it's already April, Jesus. I've been here over 3.5 years without leaving Serbia now.
Well, and that's not against your will. That's completely up to you, just so we can clarify. Not like people were like, I was meant to be here for Kentucky for like 3 weeks, and I wanted to leave, and I just couldn't get out.
I do it voluntarily because it's a neat place, it's a great place, good spirit, social people, and I'm a social guy. And Serbian, you know, my personality fits well with the Serbian personality, and you know, I love it. I wouldn't have my life any other way currently. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy being here.
And that's exciting. You were saying like you could stay in Mexico for 6 months without a visa. Fun fact, I reckon you could almost stay 6 months in Mexico without a visa card. It's actually quite affordable as well. So the other thing I want to ask you, so okay, this is what I want to find out. You'd never been to Serbia. You had no real intention of going, but when you finally did, when you walked out of the airport, out of Nikola Tesla there, what was your first reaction?
Well, the first reaction I had, because I've worked in the automobile industry for a number of years, about 13 years. So the first thing I noticed, the biggest difference walking right out of the airport, is the cars. I mean, every single car here is so small. When you're from the middle of Illinois, like I'm from, the middle of the United States of America, everything is huge. You've got big SUVs, big four-door trucks. That's what you see. I saw everything you saw is tiny cars. My friend has a Yugo. He picked us up in a Yugo, him and two other guys. Massive guys. They're about 6'5". We cram in this Yugo. You know, that's my first impression of Serbia was the small cars, actually.
Yeah, it's a Serbian take on Pimp My Ride. It's pretty much, you want it lowered, well, just get a small car and get some oversized guys to sit in it. And then it's great because you get both, because when they get out, it just goes back to where it was. It's like primitive hydraulics.
It is, exactly.
Now, the other thing I want to know is when you actually, so you went in, I imagine you went straight to Belgrade. What was the first thing that you did? So your first thing that you did when you had your first experience of Serbia?
You know, the first thing we actually did, because my friends had driven here from Zrenjanin, they lived in Zrenjanin, which is about an hour and 30 minutes or whatever from Belgrade, but they picked me up. We drove through the center of Belgrade just to look at the traffic, look at the city. I noticed these two big, massive buildings that were damaged, and I asked my friends, I said, what's up with these? And he said, well, that's what the United States of America did to Serbia in 1999. And I was like, wow, instantly hits you what your country can do and did in the middle of a major European capital. I mean, it's scary. I didn't know we bombed in the middle of big capitals. So unfortunately, I saw that first, and then we left Belgrade, and we went right to a little village, a little place called Elimir, and a little bit north of Zrenjanin, and had a meal in a Serbian family's home. And so that was kind of my first thing.
And do you remember by any chance what the first phrase was that you learned in Serbian?
I do, but it's kind of filthy.
It's if you can censor it like mildly, because I think we can get away with a little bit of swearing on this, but if you can sort of give the gist of it.
Well, the first phrase, we had left, we swung through a little pizza place, and we was going to get a piece of pizza and stuff, and so my friends told me, they said, hey, order in Serbian. And I said, well, how do you say pizza in Serbian? And they said, well, just say pushi kura, you know, to the guy when the guy comes over. And so I said that, and the guy looks at me strange. My friends laugh, and I was like, oh, my God, what did I tell him? You know, and they told me, I was like, oh, Jesus, you know. So I don't trust Serbians too much, younger ones, when I ask them how to say a phrase in Serbian language.
It's almost like it's the given. You have to do it. If anyone's like seen My Big Fat Greek Wedding, it's the same thing. It's just like... Now, I was going to ask the other thing. Like, so we know about your videos. What are you working on at the moment? What are you doing in Serbia?
Well, what I do in Serbia, actually, I lived here for 1 year in 2011. Then I went back to Mexico for a year. Then I came back here. So since I've been here currently, I'm actually working for an agency here. It's called Work and Travel Group. It allows Serbian university students to go to the USA on a 4-month work program through the summer through the U.S. State Department. So this year I'm sending 1,200 Serbian students to 21 different states in the USA. We find them jobs there, accommodation there, get their tickets ready, and I prepare the students for interviews to get a good job and help them get through the U.S. Embassy interview and work with them on conversational English. And I travel around and I speak at universities about this project, about this program, and all of these things, and I absolutely love it. The salary's terrible, but I love it, and I love working with the young people here, just some of the smartest kids you'll ever meet. You know.
Well, one thing that you've mentioned, and it totally comes across in all of your videos, is that you're very sociable. The social aspect of life in Serbia is something that really appeals to you. When you're not working, obviously there's an opportunity to take part in all the fun things that Serbia has to offer. What would you say is probably your favorite pastime in Serbia?
Well, you know, the first thing that pops into my head, and this really isn't Serbian type related, I absolutely love to smoke shisha and smoke nargila, whatever you want to call it. So I'm kind of a connoisseur of nargila bars. and I love to do that. I go around to some of them almost every single day. And the other great thing for me, it might make me sound like an alcoholic, but I really enjoy the pub scene and the bar scene. And this, like the city of Novi Sad, second biggest city in Serbia, you can't. I hang out with like some Norwegians, some Syrians, an Israeli guy, and a Palestinian, and we go around. We try to go to all the bars, but you can't. I mean, you could spend a year and you could never go to all these different themed bars and pubs in the city. There's so many here. It's something you don't see in the USA. We don't have a lot of these outdoor pub bars and so many different ones. There's liquor licenses in the USA you have to have. And so it's kind of restricted how many you can have in an area, but not here, you know. So I enjoy that the most, probably.
Mate, if I'm over in Serbia this year, then we have to go, because that's you've just nailed exactly what I enjoy doing. I love going. I love Strahinja Bana. There's also a great spot down there where you can go and get nargila and a nice cold beer. You can't go wrong with whether it's love, whether it's Zaječarsko. I'm partial towards Zaječarsko right now, but definitely cold beer in hot weather anytime.
Can't beat it. You can't beat it.
Now, we've talked about the beer and the nargila. If you had to pick a favourite Serbian food, I mean, since you landed, it would have been your first exposure to Serbian food, and what better place to have your first trial of Serbian food than in Serbia?
Exactly, especially in a village home like in Elimir. I mean, it was amazing. My favorite Serbian food, it's kind of difficult because this is one of the few places I've been that I've almost enjoyed every single type of food. It's easier for me to say the things I do not like, which is like piktia, and there's another one. Oh, my svargla, if you know what svargla is.
I do, yeah. They're both, I know. You know what? It's funny. Anytime someone there's so much delicious food in Serbia that it actually has to almost look quietly disturbing for someone to be like, it kind of puts me off. And it's always surrounded by people. Anytime anyone has mentioned to me, there's a dish I don't like, and I'm like, I bet it's the most gelatinous looking thing that we have, and they go piktia, svargla, and I'm like, yeah, you've literally just chosen the stuff that if you saw it in a butcher's store here in Australia or in America or anywhere, they'd probably go, well, that's surely just stuff that was left over from the process of something else, and it's going in the bin, not for sale. But it's delicious. It just doesn't look very nice at all. It looks kind of like alien snot, but
man, it does. But my favorite food, I would say, out of every single thing, sarma. I really enjoy sarma.
Mate, I tell you what, the more we talk about food, the more disappointed I am that I don't have any of it in the studio here on hand.
I betcha. Is it easy to find like a lot of Serbian roastil and stuff in Australia, or no?
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to generally find it around the place, to find a place where you can buy it, but fortunately there are a lot of old babe and aunts and generally very, very capable ladies who know how to make it. I would say gentlemen, but realistically I've never met... my dad can cook, and I know a lot of the Serbian guys will handle the roštilj and that side of things, but I don't think I've ever met a Serbian male who was like, yeah, my specialty is rolling sarme. That's just...
Yeah, I bet you. Yeah, that's a little different.
They lack the delicate touch.
That's right.